Sorry, I could make a fancy PowerPoint, but the fact of the matter is, here's the opportunity. You got a million contractors out there, whether you're a home builder or an electrical guy or a truck hauler or a drywall guy. It doesn't matter. All the trades in construction across the United States, you got a million contractors out there. And they're going after roughly a budget of $600 billion. So that's the meat on the bone. If all the contractors are the pack of wolves, that's the meat on the bone, the slice of the pie that you're going after. On the federal government side, I can only estimate this stuff. On the federal side, I can tell you what the numbers are. It's real easy. It's publicly available. You go to sam.gov and look it up. There's 25,000 registered federal contractors. And it's not that you can't just go on there and get yourself registered. It's just that it's complicated. Okay? So it says there's a barrier to entry. But once you get SAM registered, you're one of these 25,000 registered federal contractors. There is no license. You don't go to a federal government construction license place and get a license. You just get SAM registered. You get your company SAM registered. So now you're one of the 25,000. So what's the budget? Hey, we the people, we have Congress set the budget to maintain all the buildings. Well, what are all the buildings? In the federal government, they own buildings. The IRS owns buildings. National Park Service, National Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, federal courthouses. You've got FBI, CIA, Army Corps of Engineers. The Environmental Protection Agency owns 11,000 buildings. Okay, so our government, we the people, we own a million buildings, and we allow Congress to put together the budget to maintain all those buildings. You got a million roofs out there. You got a million parking lots that need to be resurfaced. I mean, the federal government's replacing 50 roofs a day. So any federal contractor, roofing is going to be about 10% of your business just because there's so much roofing going on out there. So you got these million buildings across the country, and Congress sets the budget. The budget's about $270 billion a year. I mean, look at the difference. When you've got a lot of competition, the price goes down. When you've got a lot less competition, the price goes up. And interestingly, if you take a 365-day year and you take out the weekends and the holidays, you have about 270 days, work days, which means our government is spending $1 billion with a B, $1 billion a day maintaining all these buildings across the country. So now, but here's the big problem. You got 25,000 registered federal contractors. They cannot do $1 billion worth of work every business day. That's impossible. And that's why on the federal side, you might get 5 to 15% margins here, but here you get 30 to 80% because of a lack of competition, or in some cases even more. I'm going to show you some examples here in a second, but this is the opportunity in federal government construction. I mean, that's the basic layout of it. All right, so now I'm going to move to this next thing here. Is this bringing both up? Hold on. There we go. All right. I've been in this business for 35 years. And my dad and I, we've done over $1 billion in federal government contracts. And we used to teach in this room on the other side of this wall, this workshop. We taught a class to contractors all across the country and got them into federal government construction. So, I mean, you flip through any of this thing, and you've got different camera angles. The whole thing's shot from the perspective of, what's it like to be in the room. So you go through 10 hours the first day. You go through, 10 hours the first day. I think it's 11 hours the second day.
Concrete work.
Of course, our slides are caught up in this thing. But anyway, you go through 11 hours the second day, and you got 7 hours the third day.
Right? Okay. So I figured out how many feet. I call them up, describe.
So anyway, the 3-day workshop is based on our careers doing $1 billion worth of federal government construction from coast to coast, for probably a little over 100 of the 500 agencies over our careers. And then in 2005, there was a boating accident.
Traumatic brain injury is the most common cause of death in adults under age 45. And for those who do survive, getting back to normal can be extreme.
Seriously came out.
Years ago, crushed Ryan Reitmeyer's skull. His prognosis for survival, grim.
He was not recognizable. He had taken.
My brother had a golf ball sized portion of his brain removed, and we left the construction business to focus on his recovery. It took 5 years to put my brother back together, and then one day my dad's reading the newspaper, the Austin American-Statesman, our local newspaper, and a woman writes an article that the construction industry's gone to shit. And my dad writes a letter to the author and says, you know, maybe the commercial and residential industry has gone to shit, but in the federal market, this is 2009, 2010, they issued the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, and all of a sudden, Obama puts $150 billion into the federal construction market. Well, she says, would you write an article about that? Now, I don't know if you remember the Show Me the Money movie back then. I should probably light myself for this thing. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if you remember the Show Me the Money movie, but then all of a sudden he writes an article, and it's Show Me the Money. Well, that article got picked up by Commercial Construction Renovation magazine, and then a guy named Jacob Kroll up in Dallas, he calls us up and asks if we'll give a speech in front of his 110 roofing and restoration contractors. So we go up there and do the speech in front of those guys, and at the end, my dad says, I'll take 10 companies, put them in a room, and we'll teach you everything you know to be successful in the federal government construction market. So we go create this class, and the contractors start getting into the class, and they go through the 3 days, and then they go out and start getting federal contracts. Well, if you're a client of mine, I know your company name. And so I just went to the public resource for company names. So if you pull up usaspending.gov, you can look up companies that have been awarded federal contracts. So I started searching for the companies that have been through our training. And let's see, I have a link for that here. So, you know, you can go to this website and you can look it up, but just imagine that every single one of these videos, someone's saying, oh my God, these guys are amazing. What's more important is that if you look underneath the video of the guy, this is ELCI, his company, and then you come down here, ELCI, 51 million in contracts. Where did I get this information? Right here. You just click it up. I didn't call the guy and ask him how much money he got in contracts. I just went and looked it up myself. You know, you come down, Kevin just started a year ago, okay? He's gotten $1.6 million in federal contracts. Again, in this video, he says, I started a year ago. So let's look at usaspending.gov. A year ago, he starts getting federal contracts. And it looks like he's already gotten one in 2023. So, I mean, I call this like the indisputable proof. You can't argue with me. I mean, here's the guy, here's his awards. Here's the guy, here's his awards. Here's the guy, here's, you know, you just go down through this thing, and, you know, that's why I say our training works. If you have any interest in being associated with federal construction, and then here's the other thing. I built a system to find federal contracts. So what does that look like? We call it the BidTrakker report. So this is all the current, like today's 1/30. You can look at the bottom of my screen. It's January 30. These are the jobs that were due today. Okay? And if you keep going down, you'll find jobs that are due tomorrow. You'll find 50 pages. You know, you go over here. Here's going to be probably mid-February. Okay, and it is mid-February. So if you want to see the plans and specs associated with the job, you click sync. Sync. You just sync these things to your computer. I invented this whole thing. You just click sync. Okay? So where does that information go? Well, it'll pop right up into this. So I just did this live. It takes about a minute when you click sync, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see jobs pop up. Okay? All those jobs I just clicked sync on, here's the files to bid the job. And then, when it's time to teach you how to turn in a bid, I just come over here to my little nifty camera and I say, okay, I turn the little light on. I mean, we have thought of everything. We have thought of everything to take somebody from where you're at to being a successful federal contractor. You can go to GCExperts.com or click the Learn More on this advertisement. And I'm here for you if this is the path you want to go down.